From Los Angeles, California comes MC and performing artist Zenaloa, known for his bilingual flow and his unique fusion of Sinaloense culture and boom bap hip hop. Fresh off the release of his new project Fair Enough, which includes standout bangers like Lighter Fluid, Benji Heel, Time Bomb, and more. In addition to this new project, Sinaloa is known for albums such as Why I Oughta, the Apartment 32 mixtape, for powerful songs such as Cake Lady Mom's Poems and Tales from the Grim. Recognized for his bilingual flow and for channeling his Chicano and Mexican roots into authentic golden era hip hop, Sinaloa continues to push boundaries with every release. Tune in to learn about his journey in music, his new project Fair Enough, and what he's got coming next at 4 p.m. LA, 7 p.m. New York. Let's bring him in.
Yo, what up, man?
Peace, my brother. Peace. Senaloa, it's an honor to have you on the Cristopolis show. My bro, you got big things happening right now.
Yes, sir. Right in the thick of it right now.
Talk to us about, I want to jump into your impressive discography, everything you bring to the game that uniquely makes you you. But let's just get into the nitty gritty. What's up with the shows in Europe?
Yeah, man. So I got an invitation from Stage One. His name is Stage One. He's a hip hop artist out here in Orange County, and he runs a program called For the Fan. And I've been on the installment, I think the fourth one and the seventh or eighth one. And we've done shows here in Orange County locally, and I really like kind of the lineup he puts together because it's always some hip hop, a band, a singer. So it's a lot of creativity and a lot of different types of music, a lot of different personalities. And that's kind of the same way he curated the Europe trip. He's been out there with the music artist Reverie from LA. I'm sure you're familiar with her music.
Absolutely.
Super dope lyricist. And she started the
And
touring
her
and she,
grind.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
the one thing is the talent, and the other thing is that hustle, right?
Yeah, and I've been watching, her for a minute, man. She's been on the grind for a while, and she does it all, right? She's been in
Yeah.
Europe, she's been in different places, and she really holds LA down. And Sage was able to go on tour with her in the past, and he got, some connections, some acquaintances, and met other artists from over there, and he was able to create this platform for us. And luckily, I was one of the people that he invited, and we're heading out on Tuesday. So our first stop is Ghent, Belgium.
Yeah.
And then our second stop is Innsbruck in Austria. So two different shows in two different places I've never been to. I've been to a lot of places in Europe, but not those two spots. So it's going to be really interesting, not only to experience the trips, but also to to perform for the people out there, man. They're hip hop heads out there.
Yeah, yeah. What's really fascinating to me about Europe is their love for lyrics and beats, right? So they're not on the trendy whatever's like on the
No.
radio. They love hip hop.
Yeah, I always like to say that like Europe is like 10 years, 15 years behind on hip hop, which is a really good thing, right? Because that's when the golden era in my opinion was.
Yeah.
So they really still appreciate lyricism, they still appreciate boom bap and that kind of hip hop. And for me, that's important because that's what I make. So I know that it's going to be receptive over there, and I'm excited to just meet new people, get new listeners, and just to perform for a new crowd. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Jumping into your sound, you are a student of hip hop. You create that golden era sound. But what's unique about what you do is that you also bring in your culture. It's in your name, Sinaloa, right? That Sinaloense culture,
Yeah.
Chicano culture, Mexican culture. Growing up in Los Angeles, in the OC, in Southern California, it's a unique brand of hip hop. Talk to us about your sound, about your upbringing, and how how that translates outside of Southern California also, right?
Right.
Because there's a
Right.
big, there's people who love that.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, for me, it was more kind of like having everything fall into place, right? Because when I first got started, it was just writing lyrics, it was just rapping, it was just freestyling. I didn't really think too much about what my sound would be or what direction to take it, and it kind of just all came about as I continued to do it. But it became more of just showing and exhibiting myself, right, as a person, as a hip hop head. The fact that my family is from Culiacan, Sinaloa, and I really feel really proud of that. And just spending so much time out there, it's something that's ingrained in me, right? And I wanted to make sure that I made that part of my style as well. So when it came to me deciding what direction to go, I really just kind of looked within, right, and said, hey, look, I'm a hip hop head, right? Some of my favorite artists are people like Dilated People, Cycle Rail, Nonfiction, Wu Tang, Gangstar, Big L, right? Big Pun. So with that influence and knowing that on our side in the West Coast, right, we have a large Chicano community, right? And I wanted to make music for people like me, right? That
Yeah.
generation and that generation that has immigrant parents that speak Spanish, that speak English, and just putting all that in a song for us to be able to kind of find that common ground, and it helped the audience kind of relate to me, and it also gave me a really good pathway for communication to people because once they started gravitating to me, it made me a lot more comfortable with it, and I was able to show more of it, right?
Yeah. The y- you know, the level at which you rhyme in Spanish is, fluent native speaker. You songs like there's the bilingual songs that that you have, but then there's songs like Los Compas, right?
Yeah,
Where you're just
right,
you could literally be in the F,
right,
like
right,
dropping that song, right?
right,
And
right, right.
talk to us about, how did you grow up speaking Spanish? Because your level of fluency is more than just, mixing it in a little bit, like sprinkling it in. Like you could drop an album in Spanish if you wanted.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I guess that's what you see more of the sprinkling, right? For me, Spanish was my first language. So growing up in our household, it was all Spanish. My family, I mean, even with my mom and grandma and aunts, uncles now, still Spanish, right?
Yeah,
So with using it that often, I also went to school in Mexico for a little bit, and
yeah,
that kind of gave me some good learning there as well, but just the use of it, right? I mean, when I was a kid, I would watch TV in Spanish, right? I would read things in Spanish, right? And that were laying around the house and things like that. So I always stayed consistent on that. And then when I got older, I understood how important it was for their culture through Spanish, especially when I had children. I wanted to make sure that I knew enough Spanish to be able to pass it down, right?
yeah.
Because I think that's what we're seeing now, where if my generation didn't keep up with the Spanish, then it becomes a lot harder to pass it down to the next generation. And that was an important point to me too, because I want to make sure my kids can communicate with moms like best as possible, right? So and it's important to preserve the culture, right? We want to make sure that we're bilingual, we speak both, right? I think it's important. And in the music, I try to incorporate it the same way. Once I got more intricate about the schemes, the methods, I was like, you know what? I could really use this a lot more, right? And then the impact it made once I started doing it, it led me to just using it even more often than I did. Because if you listen to some of my older stuff, it was a little more sprinkled in a song and a bar, you know what I mean, or a phrase or chorus. And then it became a what English word can I rhyme with a Spanish word? Because that opens up a whole different level of rhyming and schemes. And also
In English
because,
also. In
yeah,
English you could switch gears and then jump into Spanish with like cool words.
yeah. And then I've written so many verses in English, right? But when I went into Spanish, it was like an untapped, right? Like writing process, right? And then
Hmm.
I always find that everything rhymes in Spanish, though. So it also became a lot easier for me to get my point across without having to worry about the rhyming as much, right? Like I did in English. I don't know if that has to do with how comfortable I am with my Spanish or is it the Spanish involved.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Um, there's a song I want to ask you about because it's such an incredible song. Like, it's one of those songs that, um, I'm sure that you approached it as you approach all songs and you try to do your best. But Lighter Fluid, I think, really just like is one of those songs that we're like in a different era now, but like back in the day, that would have been like a massive single that
Yeah,
you could tour for, you could tour
yeah,
for a very
yeah,
long time. It is still a very special song. Can you talk to us about that song? Maybe who produced it, how it came
yeah,
together.
yeah, of
It's
course.
and it's on your most recent project. Fair
Yeah,
enough.
yeah. Yeah, well, we have it on the Fair Enough album, and the thing about that track is my cousin produced it, right? And a lot of the things I
Wow.
do is, like most of my production comes from one of my best friends, Eddie Realm, or my cousin, who goes by sounds like Monty. He's also my engineer, so he sent it to me, And obviously, when he made it, he had me in mind, right? And that's the huge advantage I have with my production is the people who produce for me, they make beats for me, right? They don't just make beats; they make beats that they feel is just for him, right? And that's why I've never really had to look for producers or beat makers because I have more than enough. I mean, I can't write fast enough to keep up with these guys, right? So,
Right.
um, shout out to my cousin for producing that. But as soon as I got it, heard the horns and the drop, right? I got right to writing about it, and because it has that feel in the horns, I wanted to keep it with the Spanish theme, and that bar where I talk about Jimmy Humilde,
Yeah.
who's the he runs Rancho Humilde with a lot of like tornadoes and the new Mexican regional genre. I had that bar in the vault, right? Because I say I'm on my grind like Jimmy Humble, but his name is Jimmy Humilde. So I just wanted to use again that play on words where I take advantage of the bilingual portion of my music, and I'm able to say that, and now it becomes a bar, right, instead of a name, right? And
That's dope.
I kind of got to it that way, and so even shooting the video was really cool because we had
Yeah, because you had the fire. Like I was like, this
yeah.
is so dope.
Yeah, let me tell you about that because that's a friend of my cousin's, and the guy who did the video, who's a buddy of mine. He goes by Andre Oggs for Color Wash Production, and he does most of my work. But that was my cousin's idea because he has a friend Jesse who did that. He's the flamethrower, and we were able to meet up at the beach, and we really had like a 30-minute window, an hour window max before people are seeing spinning fire on the beach, and somebody comes and says what's going
Right,
on,
right.
right?
Until the police show up. The like,
So I'm
right.
like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then I never considered the heat around me and how it would feel. So sometimes I was rapping, but I was trying to keep my mind off something hitting me. So it was definitely an interesting video to shoot. And we got in there and got right to it. We did about 4 takes, right? Because the fire too, man. And then keep
Yeah.
doing the fire. So we did that. We shot the shots and we got out of there. And so when I saw the finished product, I was like, man, that was the right call. And it goes with the song, right? I think it blends that. I
Yeah,
think
it's
that
called
that's
lighter
important.
fluid, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But
That's important
it
for
looks so good on camera. The
yeah,
fire in the dark, what you're wearing. I was just
yeah.
watching. I was like, this is all the way.
And that's the homie. I mean, I think Andre makes me look good in every video. I'm thankful for him because every time I get that reel or that video, I'm like, man, you outdid yourself again.
That's dope.
But it was definitely a dope song to complete. And nowadays with social media and the way we promote music and put it out there, it's necessary, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of times that I put out music like Lighter Fluid. At the time that I dropped that reel, that song had been out for like 4 or 5 months. But when
Wow.
I dropped it, everybody was like, "Hey, your new song is super dope." So sometimes
Yeah.
it requires that kind of push and that kind of media, right? And it has to be good, right? You don't want to do a video just rap into the camera. Yeah, fires, flamethrowers and fire breathing behind us, and probably going to be a cool video.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting because my mind of thinking it's like a habit that I want to break is maybe like old school, like you get a video, you get something ready, you do like a release and it's out,
Yeah,
right? But so many of the artists that are really like making noise that I've had the fortune of talking with, they will repackage and do little tweaks, sometimes the same visual and keep flipping it in different ways. Sometimes they'll put like a slightly different like hook title on it, like
yeah, I've
bro,
seen that.
bro, bro was spitting this on the beach before the cops showed up. Just
Right,
like
right.
they do,
Yeah,
and they keep doing it until one of them goes viral. And it's a
right,
real
right,
interesting thing because it's not on my nature to do that. I'm
right.
more like I want to feel like an artist, like you do something and you do it and you're on to the next. But these
Yeah,
these people that are more like on the influencer social media and they're like figuring out the algorithm, they'll share with me like, no, I actually that was the eighth time I released it.
uh,
And then that's when I got the 500,000 views. And I'm like, that's weird. Like
I feel you,
it's kind
man.
of weird to do music that way, but
I
the
feel you, and
visual's incredible.
I try to find like a middle ground, right?
Yeah.
I try to evolve with the times because I'm the same way, right? Especially when I started, I thought putting out a song was enough.
Yeah.
Right, here's the song, everybody can listen to it now, right? I definitely understand the marketing side of it and just the promotional side of it now. and how it could impact it. I'm not really the one that's I've never really put out more than one reel or one video for the same thing. But I think it depends on what your aim is and what your audience
Yeah.
is. Right? I don't think my audience would like that. Right? Like, all right, well, I already watched this video or I already heard this song. Right? But for somebody trying to go viral, then that's probably the best process. And like I said, like you said, right? That's like an influencer. I think what I have to my advantage is the lyrics and the music, right?
Yeah.
I think for somebody that might not have that as an advantage, then the image, the promotion, and the marketing is probably going to be their reach, right? But
Yeah.
it is very different, man. And I'll share an approach that I took this time, right? Because I have a new project out now. It's called Yarite, right? But what I did is I put six new songs on an album, right? And I put it out knowing that all my listeners that usually buy it will buy it, right?
Yeah.
Made a few hundred copies and started selling them, started shipping them out. Now, those songs at the time that it was shipped out in December were all unreleased songs, right? To them, right? After that, I've released them. You've seen like Cake Lady came out for Mother's Day. I had
So good.
Yalite come
Yeah.
out with my son on my birthday in March. We have Western Conference All Stars, which is coming out next week on Tuesday. And those songs are part of that album, but the general public is barely getting to listen to it, right? Because I understood I had two different listeners. I have listeners that will go and buy the record because they want this music now and as a whole. But I also have those listeners that rather take it one at a time as a single, right? And I
Yeah.
noticed that when I did that with the Fair Enough project, and I put them all out at the same time, it didn't give each song its own space
Yeah.
to reach its potential. So I did both this time. I said, okay, if you want to listen to it one at a time, with a video at a time, with a cover at a time, I got you. But if you want all the music now because you want to hear it as a project like I made it, I got that option for you too. And you get to listen to all the music before anybody else does, right? So
Yeah. So are you doing that
that
through like Bandcamp?
I do it through Bandcamp, yeah. I do it through Bandcamp. And again, it's the same ones that always buy my records, the same ones that always buy my merch. You know, those guys that always got my back and always support me. You know, the people that encourage me and motivate me to keep doing it because, you know, they're always there supporting me. And that, and then also the streams, right? I did the math on if I sell 100 records, right, at $15,
Yeah.
that's the equivalent of 750,000 streams,
The streams
right?
is just they just
Now,
rob the artist so much.
I don't make the kind of music that's going to get 750,000 streams,
Right. Right.
but I do make the music that could sell 200 records, right? And that support is, for me, it brings up a lot more than it would on just a stream. So if I put everything out on streams, it's really not going to give the artist what it's supposed to. So I every time I drop a new project, I'm trying something different. I'm being strategic and I'm trying to change with the times as well. But you got to cover all the bases, and that's kind of where it becomes a little difficult. But I'm glad I did it that way.
Yeah.
Every release is getting to shine, right? And then everybody else who bought the record, you know, they've already heard every song before it comes out. So
Yeah. Yeah, I really love that approach and to like recap it. So essentially what you're doing is releasing the project as you conceptualized it, but it's for purchase only. And you have core fans that are purchasing it that way. And then once it's out for a little bit, you figure out what amount of time that is. Then you start to release those same songs, but one at a time as singles. And
with
then
a
you get more and
video, with the
visuals, you get more
cover,
mileage.
yeah, everyone has its own covers, and you know there are people that wanted to hear it, the whole album, like you said, the way I intended it to be, right? Because I do put a lot of work into that. If you
Yeah.
listen to all my records, I worked on them as a project. I
Yeah.
never worked as a song individually, one at a time. Like most of the time, I have all the beats that I'm gonna use for one project before I even start writing. So I already know what I'm aiming for, right? It's
Wow.
just a matter of painting the canvas, right? And being happy with the result when I'm done. But I mean, most of the time, I mean, it's been what I wanted it to be, right? With starting with Why I Oughta, right? And then, you know, moving to Fair Enough. And then this one, which is Yagnike. Those were kind of like a trilogy I was working on with that
Yeah.
kind of thing in mind. And I think it's been the right move, right? Because I've gained a lot of new listeners from the singles, right? But I have kept a lot of fans and listeners engaged with my music because I gave them enough to go off of. Like me, I am an album listener, right? I like to listen put on the albums from start to finish.
Yeah.
I want to hear it. I want to kind of let it simmer, maybe revisit it again. You know, I was just listening to Evidence's new album, and I don't like to skip. I start in the beginning, right, and I go all the way to the end, and then I'll go back and skim it because I do want to hear it the way they intended it to be heard,
Yeah.
right? So I'm a big fan of that, and I think from hip hop in the golden era, I mean, everybody wanted to make a classic album, right?
Absolutely. And there's artists that still do that where they have
Yeah,
and you do it in like fair enough where like indistinct chatter like has like a it's the opening of an album.
right.
It's the first track and um hip hop is special for that. You know, I'm sure other genres have the way that they do it, but hip hop really
Yeah,
has interludes and intros,
yeah.
outros, beat switches, and you got to
That's
listen
all
to
I
it all
know,
together
man,
and you
right?
know,
And then for me, it's like, okay, where do I want to scratch? What do I want the scratch to be? What
mm,
quote should I use? Right? Where should I look? But that's all fun to me because it's really putting everything together and it sounds like a unit, right? And that's something that I feel like I mastered early, luckily. But I think it's from just being a fan and being a student of the game because, again, I could tell you my favorite albums, and those are my favorite albums because it's good from start to finish, right? I seldom come across an album now that I could say, this was a whole, they made this as an album. Most of the time, I'm
yeah.
like, it's a bunch of singles put together, right?
Yeah.
And they market it that way, but I think it's not as common as before. Luckily, we do have people like I mentioned, that Evidence and certain hip hop artists that still follow that because I think it's a really cool thing. I mean, it's like writing a short story compared to writing a novel,
That's
right?
good.
I want to read the novel, right? Because I might not get everything I'm looking for from the short story.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. And the to you know to kind of wrap up the project, fair enough, and make sure we cover it everywhere. It's currently available on all digital streaming platforms. There's another incredible song on there, right? Which is Benji Hill, right? Talk to us
Yeah,
about that
yeah.
one, how it came together, the meaning behind it, Doughboy, and everybody else that helped
And
you out.
that's one of my favorite songs, and for multiple reasons. The beat came from my best friend, his name is Edgar Roman. He's a producer from San Juan Capistrano. And again, making beats that he felt would be great for me, right?
Yeah,
Obviously, that's a corrido sounding song. And it was funny because when he sent it to me, just like when he always sends me beats, he'll send me three, four, five instruments at once. So I was actually at a baseball game when he sent me that back.
wow. At
But
an Angels game, was it an
at an
Angels
Angels
game?
game, yeah.
That's
So I
so
was at the
perfect.
Angels
How
game, right?
perfect is that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the thing about that is I get impatient, bro. When I get something like that, it's like I can't wait till I get home. So I'm like holding the phone up to my ear, like listening to the beats. And I played that one like third or fourth, and I'm like, man, this one's it. And then I played it again, like, man, this one's it. Then I went back to watching the game. But as soon as I got home, I started writing it. And I literally came up with that the first like four bars that night. I didn't write anything else. But it was an ode to what I had been talking about all day about Benji Gill was a infield coach for the Angels now. So I was like, hey, I used to go watch him in Culiacan when I was younger. He used to be a player there. He won a few championships there. Then he came to Anaheim and he won a championship there with the Angels in 2002. Now he's coaching there. He also coaches a baseball team, the Tomateros in Culiacan. So, this guy I could relate a lot to him because he comes to Anaheim. He goes to Culiacan. Like, I mean, I've met him since I think the first time I met him, I had to be like 12, 13 years old.
Wow.
And I've seen him at the airport, like different things. I mean, when they won a championship, I think it was like 2016, but I was out there in the field in Culiacan celebrating with him. I mean, we
Wow.
had, I was just, he was around popping the champagne, right? And then when I started those lines, I was like, okay, Culiacan, Orange County, Tomatero, Serafin. Serafin is what the Mexico, the Latino newspapers call the Angel. So I used to open up the newspaper back in the day to watch the standings, and it used to say Serafines instead of Angel. So I used that as a bar because it rhymed with Benjamin, right? And now that made the whole song like about that and I try to relate it to, again, my root, right? Using his example of being in both places. And it was a good song. And I was like, you know what? Who can do the second verse to this? So I hit up Doughboy, somebody who I had been watching, closely for a while. And the kid is dope, man. He can rap, good kid overall, just good to be around, good artist. We bounce off each other very, very well. We have more music, coming out together. But that song, he nailed it. But I knew he would because he's a baseball fan. He's an Angels
Yeah.
fan. You know what I mean? It's like
Everything
that's the
was right.
perfect
Everything
person.
was he was the right guy.
Yeah, and then we hit up Kevin to do the hook, and he killed that. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, okay, now
Yeah, the hook
now
was
it's at a
dope.
different level. Now it's at a different level. We were able to shoot that video in in the parking lot at Angel Stadium. Loved the video too.
Yeah, and the
But
video looks like it's shot like right at the evening golden
yeah,
hour.
yeah, we were. I mean, we all went into the game after, right? I think we were like, I don't know, like 624 packs in, but we all went into the game, right? And we had a good time. But that song became even more special when I sent it to Benji and he hit me up and we just started, talking, and I shared with him, we met before this and that. And, he invited us to the stadium. We met up with him there. I made some shirts to kind of symbolize the tomato and the orange. We called it the Benji Field shirt. And shout out to Benji because there's a lot of things he's done that he didn't have to, right? So situations that were really cool for my son, right? And he made me look like an all-star dad because he would go to the games and he would come out and take pictures with his son and give him
Wow.
autograph baseball. We went to watch the baseball classic in Phoenix and he introduced us to some players there and other coaches and just gave us some time, right? And to a 10-year-old, 9-year-old, you know what I mean?
Putting to you too, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm a big baseball fan, so for me, I'm geeking already. But I know for him, it means a lot for
Yeah.
him to be able to do that to a dad, right? So, shout out to Benji for that because he definitely made me an all-star dad. But it's a really important song, and it kind of shifted everything for me, right? Because I've always been a baseball fan, and that's thrown in there in songs and things like that. But that's when I became like the Angels rapper guy, right?
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah. You're like the
identifies
guy
with
now.
that.
You're
Yeah,
the
yeah. I became an unofficial,
dude, you
rapper
can
of
never wear
the
Dodgers.
Angels.
You
Oh
can
no,
never ever, not even by accident now.
no, I won't do it, man. I mean, my
Like
son
you
play.
wouldn't do it before, but now it's like
I've only have a problem with the Dodgers, bro. I think it shows a lot. If you follow me on Instagram, I can't help it. It's that rivalry, right? And I'm gonna make everybody mad by saying this on record, but it's not that big of a rivalry, right? We just swept them twice, so that was very enjoyable. But more importantly, right, is my son has played for the Dodgers in Little League. That was a
right.
tough season for me to watch him in Little League the whole season. And
Did he get
then,
to choose? Was it like this is the team you're on and this is the name?
yeah, no, yeah, it's like already chosen for us, so we couldn't do anything about it, right? And then I have worn a Dodger hat, right? There's a picture of me somewhere out there with a Dodger hat on. And that was because one of my really, really good homies that passed away, his name was Rec One with the Unity Project. He was a big
Yeah.
Dodger fan. And my way to show appreciation to him and just letting him know, like, we miss you. Like, F the bullshit. Like, I'm going to put on this
It
hat and
was
represent
love,
you
right?
today.
Yeah.
Yeah, just showing love. And I still have that hat at home. I have a stitch with, it says Rec One, but I think that's the only piece of Dodger anything that I own. Of
That's when and that's a real special. That's a real special way to do it.
course, of
So,
course.
if rest in peace, Ruck One. If you could talk to us about your relationship with him, you rep
Yeah,
him on your
definitely.
page. It was somebody important to you.
Yeah, it was funny because I'm starting to pack for Europe, and I made sure I put some Rec One stickers that I have there. 'Cause everywhere I travel like that, like out of town, like when I went to New York and stuff, I always take a Rec One sticker. Try to take them take them with me everywhere I go, right? But that relationship came from a Psycho de Mayo show that I performed with Psycho Realm in Santa Ana, and he was at the front row of that show. So when I got off the stage, he came up and he said, "What's up?" I gave him some secrets, whatever. We started following one another, and we started arguing about the Dodgers, Angels, all that. And we were always cool. Everything was, we were homies, right? I stopped the whole music thing. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna focus on a few other things. I had my kids. I got work. I got things to focus on. And then we had, one of our friends that passed away. His name is Dosick from the Rap Rebellion Warfare. And we were doing a benefit show to help, for his expenses and family. And he invited me to it. He's like, "Hey man, come and rock, right? It's for Dosick, it's for a good cause."
Yeah.
Last time I had seen Rec at the time, I was with Dosick and we were all there together.
Wow.
And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I performed that show, and I hadn't performed in like, at the time it had been like, I don't know, like 2 years, right? A year
Yeah,
and a half.
this event kind of pulled you out.
Yeah, yeah. And he didn't let me quit again. Rec was like, "All right, I'm gonna book you for another show. I'll book you for another
Wow.
show." And then it just became a thing, and I'm always gonna be grateful for that because of so much that's happened after that.
Yeah.
When I thought I was done with it, right? And it was really the fact that he believed in me so much that helped me believe in myself and saying that this is still something that I want to do, it's worth doing. There was some things in the music industry that turned me off from doing it, right?
Yeah.
Because I was on my grind, doing shows all the time, putting out music all the time. And a lot of things I was seeing, I didn't align with. So I thought this might not be for me, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that's why one of my biggest fan bases, bro, is in Pomona, Riverside, Inland Empire, right? When I did my release show for Why I Oughta, I did it at Characters Bar in Pomona,
Yeah.
and I had never seen that place so packed, and it felt so good to have that kind of support. And I know it was a mix of people from Orange County driving out there,
Yeah.
and all of the people that Rec introduced me to, right? And they packed it out. We had a good time. I mean, I haven't been able to top that show since, right? But that's just what a community does, right? And I think about them every day. I try to post them up as much as I can, and when I travel, and I'm going to do it both in Brussels and when I get to Innsbruck, just to make sure that I put on for my boy like he put on for me. But he's
Yeah.
definitely missed, and there's a lot of people that still are carrying on his legacies. We got Cry One, we have Pause One. There's a lot of people out there that still go hard for the Unity project. So
Yeah,
yeah,
bro.
rest in peace, Rep One.
Yeah, bro. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's
Yeah, of
beautiful.
course.
Um, talking about people that have had a powerful impact on your life, you dropped an incredible song in Cake Lady, Mom's Poem. I was raised by a single mom. I could relate to that song so much. It was very beautiful, very intimate. You're incredible with the pen. Talk to us about that song.
And I got that sample from Eddie Rome, right?
That's dope.
And I mean, I already knew what I was going to write about 15 seconds through that sample, right? And I was like, this is that song. I think everybody has a mom song, right? We all think about it. But I knew that this one was the one. I like the fact that it didn't have drums because I did want it to sound like a poem, right?
Yeah,
And then the funny part about that is I started writing in Spanish because again, my mom's first language is Spanish.
yeah,
But my feelings and the way I was trying to transcribe that from my brain to down to paper, it was coming out in English, and I didn't stop it. Just kept it moving, kept it moving, kept it moving. And it was really special when I got to the end of it. And we sat down and I translated everything to her, and we broke it down, and she understood. She understands it to the point where she can appreciate it. But making a video of it was very important too, because again, that solidifies everything. I'm going to talk about cake later. I wanted to show her, making
I mean,
her famous
the making
cakes.
the cake, seeing her make it, like that was so beautiful. I mean, what a powerful visual.
Yeah, and she's always done that. She's always made our cakes for like birthdays. She used to flying cakes back in the day. Now she mostly does it for like family events and things like that. But it's something that I know people know about her, especially in my community, right? And a lot of people know me through my mom, right? So when I was growing up, a lot of people would be like, "Oh, pues, no, tú eres el hijo de la señora de los pasteles." And they would always tell me, "Hey, you're the cake lady's son." So that's where the name Cake Lady came from, because that's what I would hear. Even though they didn't know her name specifically, she was like to people. So some people she was the cake lady. So I wanted to talk about the hardships we went through. She was a single mom. My dad passed when I was 11. So just being able to raise three boys and going through the difficulties and just showing up every day and fighting through the hardships. And I look at my brothers now and I can say, man, you did a great job with all of us, and we're so thankful for her. I think we're all thankful for mom, but as the oldest out of the brothers, I got to see it all,
Yeah.
and some of those nights were tough. And now as a
Yeah.
father, I look back at that and I understand it, but I still got to give her like those props of like, wow. 'Cause if I was
Yeah.
put in the same scenario, I'd do the same thing, right? But it's because I got to see what that looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. It's powerful. For the video, how did you tell her about it? You're like, hey mom, I need you to make a cake because we're
Yeah,
gonna shoot it.
that was it.
And
The cool thing is I told her I was like, hey, okay, I want to put this out Mother's Day, so we got to make a cake. She was like, oh, I'm making a cake on Saturday.
it's happening
Yeah, I was
already.
like, all right, cool, let's do that cake. So we used that, and it came out, real cool. And like I said, if you look at the videos, Andre didn't sting, man. Color Wash Productions always comes through and makes it look like the way it's supposed to, because that's really how I imagined it, right? And it's a great piece of work. It was cool to show her for the first time and put it on the big screen. And I sat my kids down and showed it to her at the same time. And it becomes a special thing, right? Just kind of like the one with my son. I told him, hey,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you say a bar here, but I want you to be in the video with me too. And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm ready, right? But I think I've shifted my music to there has to be some meaning, right? There has to be some weight that's carried through that music, and it's taken me a little bit away from my usual approach, right? I think that's why this new record I'm putting out on Tuesday is more like back to the bars and the rap and all that, right? Because I don't want to stay mushy for too long, right? Some of my listeners are looking
Right. You don't
for
want
the
to get
bars. So,
categorized like, oh,
yeah,
where's the mushy song? You're like, I got
r-
more.
right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, look, I got a few songs that are super bar heavy, but then I'm gonna have to get back to the mushy stuff, right? Because I'm trying to make music again now that my kids are older. I have a 14-year-old. He listens to this stuff,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So what I say, what I talk about, how I explain it is I'm a lot more liable for it now than I used to be.
True.
So I take that approach when writing and make sure that it's going to be something I'm proud that my kids could listen to.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw also I think it was your mom, yeah, showed like the new merch for the
Yeah,
show,
yeah,
right? And then yeah,
yeah.
man, talk to us about the merch, where people can get it. Is it only for the show? Can people get it, even if they're not going? Details like
I
that.
made some. I have that new merch. So the new merch is showing the tour, right? The two places that were rocking in Europe, and anybody can buy that shirt. Just DM me. I just wanted to make it available again to the people that always support me. I'm gonna take the rest of them, whatever is left, with me on tour. But you could definitely, just DM me. I got shirts left. I got hoodies as well. But the thing that inspired me is I took my 14-year-old to a show, right? Out in the Forum in LA. A band was playing called Pierce the Veil. I don't know if you've heard of them, but I had never heard of them. So I took him to that show and I took him to the merch stand and I was like, hey, pick a shirt. What shirt do you want? He's like, I want the shirt that says the dates. I think that's really cool. So when I came to that thought
Right,
of
you're like, that is
what
cool. Yeah.
what kind of merch should I make, and I was like, you know what, that would be a great idea. So I also know that a lot of people are proud of the fact, and they feel proud of wearing that shirt and saying, hey, look, this is my friend, my family member that gets to do this, right? Because it's definitely an important opportunity. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to put it out that way and have the dates and thank you to everybody that's been supporting because that's going to help me out while going on tour. It's going to open up the things I can do and the possibilities for me. So super thankful for everybody that's already grabbed the shirt.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it with all that support for sure.
That's dope. That's dope. So for people who want to buy a shirt or other merchandise, the best way to do it is to DM you.
Yeah, I got stuff on Bandcamp, but the quickest way is just DM me, right? I'm pretty quick with just sending stuff out and making the process easy for everybody. Because nowadays, man, you go on trying to buy something, and there's fees and taxes, and
I
you got to
know,
do
man.
this and do that. And I'm like, you know what? Give me your Zelle or Venmo, give me your address, I'll ship it out tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm shipping it out with the new record that I told you about that nobody has. So anybody who's ordered a shirt is going to get a record as well because I want to give them that exclusive look of the songs that haven't been put out yet. They'll have them first.
And this was the record, yeah, Dije?
That'd be cool. These are all
That's
little
dope.
sayings that I've heard throughout like my life, right? Like why I oughta, right, was always like a saying you heard, right? At the time, I kind of referenced it as like the state of hip hop and how I felt towards it, right?
Yeah.
Um, Fair enough was because when you hear the start of the song, when you can hear to Go Bird, Prince talks about the saying fair enough when you don't want to argue with people. You know what? I'm too old to argue with them. I'm just gonna say fair enough and just let them deal with it, right? It's that one. And then Yavika is something my grandpa used to say when he wanted to cut us off. So he'd say what he wanted to say, and we'd go get him. Like, that's it. No more
Right.
opinions, no more
I have
comments, right?
spoken.
I have spoken. So I use that as a way of kind of giving, a homage to him, but also that's how I feel right now. Like, this is what I got to say, take it with a grain of salt.
That's dope. That's dope. We've been unpacking and celebrating the fact that you're going to Europe, the new merch, uh, the Yadi Hair record, and Fair Enough that's available on all DSPs. Um, is there anything else that you want people to know about? The best places for people to follow you, maybe some upcoming plans that you have for 2025, 2026.
Yeah, well, we got this new release this Tuesday, April 19th. I'll be on the flight during the release, right?
That's dope. That's cool. You got something to do
Yes.
whenever you can jump back on Wi-Fi. You can kind of see
Yeah, yeah.
things and
I want to see what I pull, right? It's always like that. That's why I like dropping, like Mother's Day, my birthday. I always drop, it means something, right? So I'm dropping that, and I'm really excited about this song because we're getting back to the bars, right? Eddie Rome produced it. We have MC Wicks from Fresno,
yeah.
super dope rapper that I wanted a song with for a minute, so he's on it. Viva Mezcal from Boyle Heights is also on it. So it's really cool to have like a posse cut like that because those are respectable MCs, man, right? Uh, have you ever seen Wicks kill it? Incredible live, and the kind of music that Mezcal has made and how he's put on for Boyle Heights is something that is for sure impressive, right? So it's cool to have a song with them. That's August 19th, right? That'll be out. We have a few reels that'll be coming out while I'm out there as well. But mostly looking forward to releasing the rest of the songs. I have a song with Frosty
Oh yeah.
that is going to be super dope. We have songs before, but this one's more of
Right,
like
because you got one on her project.
yeah. I have one on her project, and then he's on my project too. And yeah, she kills this verse. I'm excited to. It's back to the mushy stuff, right? But I really like the song, so I'm excited to put that out. So just things that are in the works, and then I have all my beats for the next project already reserved, and it's mostly produced by Eddie Rome. I do have one song in there that's produced by Obed Padilla. Not sure if you're familiar with him. He's from Oceanside, super dope.
Yeah.
But he's been doing a lot of things, with his music, and I was able to grab a beat from him when he had those available. So I'm super excited. It's been in the vault as well. But with more music coming, more shows coming. Took a little break, with a lot of things going on in the world that I wanted to prioritize
Thank
and
God.
make sure that we took care of our community and each other first before I started posting things to distract people from that. So the
Yeah,
attention
it's
of
a
it
it's a
to
hard balance, right?
yeah
You're the type of MC though where at the same time, so much of your music is for the community. It's
yeah
not, like booty shaking, champagne
yeah yeah
popping. You know what I'm
yeah
saying? It's definitely like what we need right now, but it's just so much coming at us from every angle
yeah
in different topics,
too much
especially
going
right
on,
here,
man.
like in the
Yeah.
whole world, like right in the whole United States, right here, it's really, really hot right now.
Yeah, and again, just using my platform to emphasize that, right? To put out information out there instead of putting out music and putting that. That was important for me. And once it's always going to be right. It's always going to be part of what I do and part of the movement and representing certain people, right? And it's us and the things we go through. But more importantly, it's just making sure everybody's taken care of, because
Yeah.
conversation, just being there for somebody, being available, makes a hell of a difference in people's lives. And I'm more gravitated towards that, knowing that I make music that can come out today or next year, and it's going to have the same impact, right?
Yeah.
It's music, right? I'm not going by a trend. I'm not going by a fad. So I don't lose any traction like that. So there was no timer on it, and I feel like it was appropriate, right? I mean, even the songs that I did put out, right? Showing my relationship with my son, showing my relationship with my mother,
That's right.
before getting to this kind of stuff, like back to the rapidy rap.
You gotta, yeah, you gotta show, the pen work.
Oh, of course, man. Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
part of the craft, right? I'm a big fan of that, and man, I think that's what I enjoy the most, man. I think I've learned to love performing, but that zone you hit when you're creating, I think that's what drives me more than anything, man. Like
That's
that adrenaline of, oh man, keep going. The song sounding good. Oh, that was a good bar. Keep going. And then the final product, adding those parts, adding those quotes, and just hearing the final product. I don't think there's anything more rewarding than holding a physical CD that you made, and you thought of the cover, you thought of the song name, you thought of the lyrics, you thought of even the sequence of the songs, and you just look at it and you're like, man, right? I own this. This is me, right?
yeah,
And that's a big deal for sure.
yeah. That's dope, bro. That's dope.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, man.
My bro, if we start to wrap up, we talked about a lot of people that are a part of this journey with you that help you, and everything from music to video work and beyond. Folks that you want to shout out, do you want to make sure that you
Yeah, of
mention?
course, man. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Rep One Forever. I want to shout him out. Go Sick Forever, the homies. But I'm really thankful for everybody that helps me out. Right, my cousin sounds like money. I can't put out a record if he's not my engineer. Right, the beats are dope every time. Right, so I can't do that without people like Eddie Run. Um, my merch is made by local printing, the homie Bino. So without him, I can't do this. Right, Color Walk Productions and Zandre, my buddy Oscar Perez too, who's been doing some of the reels. He did the Danger Zone I just put out. And keep
That's
in mind,
dope.
these are not strangers, right? These are my friends. These are people that I feel comfortable coming to my home. That I feel comfortable meeting my kids. Right? It's never been any type of networking like that.
That's
It's
dope.
just family helping me out, and I shout them out because I really appreciate them. Right? This movement is it would all be in my notepad if it wasn't for them. Right?
Yeah.
So I definitely want to shout them out. Shout out to Sage One for inviting me on the Europe trip for sure. That's going to be a good time. We're going to do a lot of big things out there. And thank you for having me on the show, and everybody else that
Uh,
that gives me this platform, and gives me an opportunity to talk about it, and quite frankly cares about it. Right? I keep you guys in mind, every time I go back to work on it.
that's dope. Thank you. Zenaloa, my bro, it's been an honor to build with you, to
Likewise,
unpack,
man.
your career. Fair enough. Ya dije, what's coming, the show's coming, the
Yep.
merch, everything you
Yep.
got going on. It's a really dope moment in your career right at this moment. It's an honor to build with you, to talk with you about it. And I look forward to building with you again in the future.
Likewise, man. And, thanks for inviting people like us on this, man. I see you have legends. I see you have people coming up. You definitely have your report pretty well dug into the hip hop roots and the hip hop game in LA and everywhere really. So, thank you for giving us this opportunity, and keep doing you, man. We're always going to support as well.
Thank you so much, my brother.
You got
Salute.
it,
Go
bro.
with you soon. Hey, have a good time in Europe, bro.
Thank you, man, for sure.
All right,
Appreciate
my
you.
bro.
Have a good weekend.
Appreciate you. Peace. You too.